I'd like to call to order this Township of Franklin Sewage Authority Reorganization meeting for February 1st, 2022. Call for 6 p.m. It is now 6:04 p.m. Madam Administrative Manager, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Alcazar?
Here.
Mr. Van Barrington?
Here.
Ms. DeVoe?
Here, present.
Okay. Ms. Ford?
Here.
Ms. Francois?
Here.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
You see the flag in the background behind Ms. Roach. Would everybody please stand, and also Mr. McClellan, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America,
Okay.
to the republic stands
For which it's
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
just for all.
impressive. Only one or two of them here. This meeting of the Franklin Township Sewerage Authority has been duly advertised in accordance with the revisions of Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, also known as the Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the giving of notice to the Courier News, posting the agenda in the public lobby of the authority's headquarters 48 hours prior to the meeting, delivery of this notice to the Franklin Township Clerk at least 48 hours prior to this meeting, and mailing notice to those persons properly requesting to be mailed notification of meetings at least 48 hours prior to this meeting. Since we are still currently in a state of emergency and pandemic, this meeting is being conducted by electronic platform via the GoToMeeting website. Adequate notice of this meeting via electronic platform and GoToMeeting has been made in the same manner and means upon which I have just announced relative to the written notice. Members of the public who wish to participate either in this reorganization meeting or the subsequent meeting, and I'm sure there'll be a subsequent notice at the regular meeting, can do so in accordance with the instructions relative to the notice for the GoToMeeting, also in accordance with Public Law, Chapter 11 of Public Laws of 2020. With that, the first order of business for this evening is the nomination of a chairperson for the period of February 1, 2022 to the reorganization meeting in February of 2023. May I have is our nominations?
I'll nominate Brianna as chair.
Is there a second for Ms. DeVoe's nomination?
I second.
Okay,
Ford, second.
Motion made by Mr. Schmidt, second by Ms. Ford. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, can I get a motion to close nominations?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of closing nominations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the closing of nominations? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we call the roll call for Brianna DeVoe as chairperson of the Franklin Township Sewage Authority?
Mr. Alcazar?
Yeah.
Mr. Van Barrington?
Yes.
Ms. DeVoe?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Madam Chair, congratulations again. I turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you all. I look forward to working with all of you again another year. Moving on to nominations for vice chair. Is there a nomination?
I'll nominate Ram.
And is there a second?
Second, Jesus.
Second, Ford.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Van Barnson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Do I hear a nomination for Treasury Secretary Treasurer? I'd like to nominate Teresa Ford.
I second that. Ron?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Van Barnson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Next for nomination, Assistant Secretary Treasurer. Do I have a nomination?
I nominate Arnold Smith.
I second.
Is
Ron?
there roll call, please?
Discussion.
Yeah.
What does that mean, assistant? What are the responsibilities of assistant secretary? Or assistant treasurer, I'm sorry.
Eric, are you able to, or April would have that?
Basically, Mr. Schmidt, in the absence of Ms. Ford, you would be asked, you would be called upon to sign certain documents in her absence, I believe.
I can do that.
We do, however, need bank account numbers and, other.
I can certainly give them your bank account numbers, Eric.
Absolutely. Everybody else has them. But that's the answer, Arnold, to what the position is.
Thank you.
No problem.
Do we have a motion?
You have a motion, you have a second.
A second. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yeah.
Mr. Van Barnson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Moving forward to a resolution to appoint the consulting engineers, CME and Associates. Do I have a motion?
Motion, Ram.
And a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Van Barnson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Do I have a resolution? I have a resolution of the appointment of auditor. I apologize in advance for pronouncing the last name incorrectly. Holdug and Morrison.
Actually, Andy, isn't it PKF O'Connor Davies?
Okay.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Bernstein. Madam Chairwoman, we merged into the firms called PKF O'Connor Davies. We've actually merged in a couple of years ago, but now we're transitioning all our names over and all that bit. So thank you, Counselor, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Not a problem. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Francois.
And a second?
Second.
Second, Ford.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Ann Barrenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes.
Okay. I just
Hello,
had- there was
hello. Hello, this is Councilman Charles Onyejiaka. Okay, I have not been attending the meeting because I used to work in New York, but now I'm in New Jersey. So I'll be present in all the meetings now. So I wanted to mark me present.
Let the record reflect that the councilman joined at 6:14.
I noted that.
Thank you.
Chairwoman DeVoe, before we move on, Joe Danielson, you did have a correction to the CME agreement. Would you like to go on notice with that?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me bring that up. I'd like to amend section 5A and 5B. I'm just trying to pull it up. Where is that? One second.
If you look to the right on your credenza, I left you a copy.
Yeah, I'm just opening up the agreement so I could discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, section C, further clarifications, and subsection number 5A and 5B. Let me just find that now. I'd like to change that from $3,500 to $7,500, more accurately reflect their work.
Joe, can you repeat that again?
Section 3. That's subsection 5A. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's basically the same agreement. It'll just reflect our budgeting and their work more accurately.
Okay. Okay.
It was my idea, not their idea.
Mr. Director, I can provide some background if it helps.
Thank you, sir.
This has been, this number probably since we started with the authority almost 20 years ago. And basically, it doesn't really authorize us anything other than it gives the director an ability to authorize to do work a little bit more, I guess, flexibility than what was before. Obviously, in the last 20 years, rates have gone up, costs have gone up. So I think that the suggestion here is to just give a little more flexibility in the number and from what you had before. As I said, I think this is probably the same number as when we started with you almost 20 years ago. So we appreciate it, and we recommend it and appreciate the director considering it for us.
Yeah, I just read through all the professional agreements, and I just noticed that if we don't increase that, it's almost an inevitability we would have to come back for the board for a menial task of our engineer.
Okay. Understood. Do we vote on this or would this
Motion,
be
you need a
reflect-
motion to approve the amendment of the contract.
Okay. Do I have a motion to amend the contract?
I'll make a motion.
And second,
Second, Jesus.
roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Ann Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes.
Okay.
Moving forward to the appointment of General Counsel, Eric M. Bernstein and Associates LLC. Do I have a motion?
Motion Ford?
Second, Schmidt.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Ann Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes.
Thank you all again. We look forward to working with everyone again for another year.
Thank you. Resolution for the official depository of TD Bank. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Rom.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Ann Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution for signatures of chairperson, secretary, treasurer, executive director, and interim executive director. Executive director. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Thank you. A second?
Second, Rom.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Ann Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution for the official newspaper, the Courier News. Do I have a motion?
Motion Ford?
And a second?
Second, Schmidt.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Ann Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution to reauthorize a petty cash fund. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second, Jesus.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Ann Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution of the reappointment of April Roach as the QPA, qualified purchasing agent. Do I have a motion?
Motion
Jesus.
Ford?
A second?
Second. Francois?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Absolutely.
Mr. Ann Berenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Well received, greatly appreciated.
Of course. The reappointment of April Roach as the PACO, the Public Agency Compliance Officer. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Second, Ford.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Van Barenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Congratulations, April.
Again,
Resolution for bond counsel services. Do I have a motion?
Do we have a name?
Who might that name be?
Bond counsel would be McManaman, Scotland. Unless you want to make a change.
Okay.
Motion, Francois.
Second?
Second, Jesus.
I didn't hear who we were motioning for.
McManaman, Scotland, and Bauman.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Van Barenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution for financial consulting services.
Do we have a name? I assume it's NW.
Yeah.
It's Northwestern Financial Group, LLC.
NW Financial.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Ram.
A second?
Second, Francois.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yes.
Mr. Van Barenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Next, we move on to the appointment of committees. April, do you have those that are currently on committees, the names of those?
I do. Currently on the Negotiations and Personnel Committee is Mr. Commissioner Van Barenson and Commissioner Schmidt. The Municipal Liaison is Commissioner Ford. And the Construction Committee is Commissioner Van Barenson and Commissioner Ford. And the Safety Committee is Commissioner Alcazar and Commissioner Schmidt.
Thank you. With that, would anyone like to change or request to be on a different committee?
I would like to take myself off of the municipal committee, and I would ask that Commissioner Francois be on the municipal committee, if she agrees.
Commissioner Francois, do you agree?
Can't hear me, I'm sorry. Yes, I agree. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay.
I know you have to tell me what the job is.
Reporting on what the council does.
Oh, okay, okay, I can handle that. I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. Okay.
Will Barrison at one time held that job as well, I believe.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to a motion for to open for public comment. Do I have a motion?
Motion
Motion,
Ford?
And a second?
Second, Schmidt.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Aye.
Seeing there is none for public comment.
Motion to close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second Ford?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And I will now motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting at 6:30.
And I will just also note that Howard Madison joined the meeting at 6:29.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the reorganization?
Motion.
And a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
6:30.
I'm going to stop recording on my side for the reorganization meeting.
Okay. Are we able to call to order for February's working agenda, or for February's meeting rather? Okay.
Should I start recording now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm recording.
All right. Great. I call to order at 6:32. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Alcazar?
Here.
Ms. Van Berenson?
Here.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
And Chairwoman DeVoe.
Here, present. Now for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do I have I should know this by now. In accordance with provisions of Chapter 231, New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the giving of notice to the Courier News, posting the agenda in the public lobby of this building 48 hours prior to the meeting, delivery of this notice to the Franklin Township Clerk at least 48 hours prior to this meeting, and mailing notice to those persons properly requesting to be mailed notification of meetings at least 48 hours prior to this meeting. And with that, do I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I add, since this is we are still in a state of emergency, pandemic, this meeting is being conducted electronically via the GoToMeeting platform. Adequate notice of this electronic meeting has been given in the same manner and means upon which we have given our usual official notice. Members of the public may participate in this meeting through the GoToMeeting platform in accordance with the instructions set forth in the notice.
Thank you, Eric.
No problem.
With that, do I have a motion to open for public comment?
Motion.
In a second,
I'll second.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing that there are none for public comments, do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
And a
Second.
second? All those
Second,
in
Rom.
favor? Seconded by Commissioner Barrison. Do I have all those in favor signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Moving on to approval of minutes. The working session and the monthly board meeting minutes of December 7th.
Madam Chair, at least on my agenda, we have Mr. Hudalak.
That's correct.
Presentation of the draft audit.
My apologies, yes.
You almost got away with it, Andy.
Would you like me to jump in?
Yes, please, thanks.
Madam Chairwoman, members of
Andy,
my pleasure to be here.
Andy, if I could just ask Andy to pronounce his last name so we can shrink the number of versions of your last name down to one.
Well, I've actually heard it pronounced so many different ways, Joe. I'm not even sure anymore, but actually we do pronounce it Hodulik. Hodulik. Okay. Thank you, sir. With me this evening is Dana Montanelli. She is the manager on the job for us, and she worked very hard on the account this year. And I want to thank her for all the hard work she did. And obviously, we want to thank the administration management for all the efforts that they put in helping us get through the process. Unfortunately, we're at the situation now where we've gone from I guess the term is from the ridiculous to the sublime. We are still in draft form with respect to your May 31, 21 financial statements. The reason being that we are still awaiting numbers from the state of New Jersey with respect to disclosures and actually journal entries that are required on your financial statements with respect to what's called post-employment benefits. We actually don't know when those numbers are going to come out. So unfortunately, we're still in a holding pattern. And we cannot, if we issued your report without those figures, we would have to modify your opinion indicating that you're not following GAAP based on the fact that you haven't included this information in your report. So it's an unfortunate situation, but we're kind of stuck with it until such time as we have those numbers provided. In the meantime, though, we do have a draft presentation, and basically the numbers aren't going to change a whole lot from what you see in front of you today. So unfortunately, again, we're going to have to wait until those numbers are finalized for us to finalize the report. But I'll take it real quickly. Your bottom line improved year over year, and primarily that reason is to some degree, or to a large degree, certain expenses you had in years previous are not accrued or booked this year, and we can go into that any more if you have any questions on that. But at this point, I'd like to have Dana, if you want to just walk us through quickly the report, and if there's any questions, we can go from there. Dana, you're muted, Dana.
Sorry about that. So as Andy had said, I'm not sure if anyone is actually following along with the report, but I'll just high level go over these financials with you real quick. As of May 31st, 2021, on page 14 of the PDF document, so if you were following along, you can see that the authority had a net income this year of $1,126,649 compared to a net loss the year before of $474,000. So the authority did improve over the last year. So we had a good year. So that leaves the authority with a net position of $59,706,000 at year end. And then real quick, I will touch on the budget to actual so that you can see how you did compared to your budget. And that starts on page 58 of the PDF, or it's page 55 of the actual printed report. So overall, on the revenue side of your budget, you came in over budget. Revenues came in about 16 million and the budget was 14.2 million. So I know that the revenue budget was a little bit more conservative due to COVID over the last year. So we had a positive variance there. And then on the expense side, the authority came in right where you should have overall on expenses. The budget was 14,198,000 on expenses, and the actuals were 14,083,000. So overall, it was a good year. I don't know, Andy, if you want to add anything else to that.
Yeah, that's great. I just would say again that so at this point, the opinion we're planning on issuing on the financial statements is a clean opinion, or what's called unmodified opinion, which is we basically agree with what's being presented here in your report. So with that, if there's any questions, we'd be very happy to answer anything. Or obviously, you can always contact us at any time if you have questions. The other board members always available for any questions if you might have them.
Thank you, Andy and Dana. Does anyone have any questions?
Chairwoman, I don't have a question, but as much as we're looking at a 1.6 or 1.8 million dollars, that doesn't mean the authority's swimming in money. We do have over $20 million of projects that we have on the board list. But I'd like to thank the staff in every position for helping us get to our financial point right now.
Madam Chair, this is Ram. I'd like to also recognize the Executive Director and the Administrative Manager and the Operations Manager and all their staff to have worked diligently on the multiple crises we have had due to COVID and all the other natural disasters. And I think considering all of those, I think this is a very good financial report, and I'd like to congratulate all of you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I concur with those sentiments as well. Does anyone else have any further comments or questions?
I do have a question. So this is a draft, Andy. I didn't hear. Did you say when's the final going to come out?
Yes, it's unfortunately still in draft form. We cannot issue a final report until the what's called the GASB 75 OPEB numbers are released by the state of New Jersey, and that's we've been in a holding pattern now for quite a while, waiting for those figures.
Okay, you probably said that before, but I didn't pick it up. Thank you.
I'm sorry. That's okay. Fine.
Does anyone else have any questions, comments? Hearing there are none. Thank you again, Andy and Dana.
Thank you so much, folks.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Mr. Hodges.
Yeah. Commissioner Ford, was that you?
No, I believe that was Commissioner Francois.
So you guys can hear me. I'm actually on the phone. Does it sound strange? Do I need to call into the computer?
I hear you guys now.
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, you're clear.
Oh, okay. I just said thank you, Mr. Hodgelik. I pronounced his name correctly.
Got it.
That was the chairman, Mr. Danielson.
Moving on to our executive summary and professional reports.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
No problem.
So for our legal work, we worked on through the law firm Bernstein, the Brookline Avenue vacant lot proposal and sale. Currently, we're waiting for the titles. We've received the title insurance commitment. We're waiting for those documents to be returned by the attorney's client, the seller, and that should be completed by the end of the month. The New Brunswick agreement, which has been a long project, that is at the point of the very last item on there getting finalized. It involves the I&I charges, and the mayor of New Brunswick and myself have agreed to let the two engineers work that out. They'll come to an agreement, and then we can move through the attorneys to finalize that contract and sign it. We worked on, signed into law recently was the moratorium that was based upon the executive order from the governor that forbids us from applying the late fees or any other kind of fees or tax sales. However, that moratorium on the executive order did not include sewage authorities, but when it was translated into law, they added sewage authorities, and it seems to me it was back. So we still have to have a meeting with the attorney to translate all the opinion memos and the new law and translate that into a workflow for us. We also worked on the COVID-19 policy, which I'll talk later on about, that was issued that will be modified again after discussion with the board in executive session. We were working on a small IRS case over the last year. So I asked the board to approve that I protest that charge. We did, and the IRS has since dismissed the charge. We did receive a New Jersey mechanics lien regarding our vendor and their sub-vendor, and that's been resolved since. Excuse me. The Marcy Street rehab project is going smoothly. At the current state is the manhole lining was completed. Manhole rehabilitation work will begin shortly. This is in addition to the Bates Court manhole that needs to be reconstructed due to one of the laterals being connected directly to it instead of the line. East Millstone Pump Station, that is moving forward a bit slowly, but the work has begun. An excavation pit was created to accommodate the bypass valve. We do anticipate a cold weather pour over the concrete for the foundation. The high bay garage. Howard, can you chime in here on the status of this? Because there's a lot of moving parts. It's not a big project, but a lot of moving parts to it. Can you give me a quick summary?
Sure. So we've completed the performance requirements, which we've submitted to Blue Scope Construction. They and their designated primary sub, Cypreco, I've gone through one round of edits with them on their review. And I'm anticipating we're going to get the price from Blue Scope, which would be their initial price, in response to all the documents that we've provided them and the scope of work we've reviewed. And that would be the start of the negotiation before the authority settles on the price that they would pay through the co-op. And again, this is an arrangement that we discovered was an avenue for the authority to pursue through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative, which the authority is a member of. So at this point, we're waiting to get the initial price from Blue Scope. I reached out to my contact there. He's at a conference today, and I didn't hear back before the meeting tonight. But I expect I'll get in touch with him tomorrow.
Thanks, Howard. Next project, Howard, I'm sorry. No, okay. Next project is the Somerset Street Pump Station Rehabilitation. this is a cousin project to the Brookline Avenue rehabilitation project. The 60% drawings have been completed and submitted to the authority. And Howard, did we confirm if the Godwin pump was available via the co-op?
I haven't heard back yet from Pumping Services. They have a kind of a designated guy on the Godwin pumps who they hired away from Godwin. So once I hear back from him, I'll find out. I expect not at this point. I think he would have told me if they were.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be something we're going to have to procure directly.
All right. The Brookline Avenue sewer rehabilitation. So in the last month, the CME, the engineer, the scientist project, did a projected costs estimate, and the project costs have gone up significantly in their estimation due to a number of things, including labor, availability, cost of materials, etc. So this project is going to cost significantly more. But however, CME, jump in here if I'm incorrect, is going to be modifying the amount of money we'll be asking for the financing. Is that correct, Mike?
That's correct, Mr. Daniels. We provided several reasons as to why the costs have changed. Obviously, this is a more detailed cost since we have the design completed. So that's one of the issues. We have we'll be contacting the trust to increase the amount of the loan. The reasons, obviously, the pandemic has significantly increased prices on all construction right now, and so that's one of the reasons. The other thing, we've added clean outs and increased the scope of the work in some cases, and I think the job is actually larger, obviously, than it was before. So that's why the numbers have gone up, and we don't see any problem with the trust. It's a clean water application. Don't see any problem with the trust agreeing to finance the total now, which is at $4.2 million.
Mike, are we still getting delays from the DEP?
Well, actually, Mr. Karosik spoke to them today. One of the things that we're scheduling now is a meeting to go over the process where we can utilize the co-op with this project, which will expedite it many, many months. So I think that's, we talked to them today in terms of a meeting. We'll be reaching out for you, Director, and the staff to go through and discuss that and schedule that meeting. And hopefully with that, we can get authorization to advertise, which is basically, in this case, we authorized to enter into the agreement with the co-op.
Okay, thank you. Under the pump impeller rehabilitation, I did authorize the purchase of a new impeller for the School Avenue pump station to be completely replaced. That impeller has gone bad. They don't make it anymore, and there's no way to necessarily rehabilitate that. Scott, is there anything that you feel that the board needs to know what I said?
So that is one of our capital projects. Just a little bit. So it's not just an impeller; it's actually a whole pump replacement. So that'd be pump, impeller, and volute. Falls underneath the what we budgeted for the year.
All right, that's just under 40,000, right?
Yeah, it was like 37.8.
Okay. Weston Canal, Force Main Emergency Rehab, Phase 3. Scott, last we reported to the board, we were waiting for the flow meter. Did that arrive?
Yeah, so actually, when I did the report, we did not have it. It was delivered today. So now it's just a matter of scheduling with the contractor. Once the access manhole is received, to schedule to have that installed. I'm being told that the manhole is ready to ship, so that's a matter of it getting to the site. Once that is, it's coordinating with the contractor to have the flow meter installed.
Okay, thank you. The Weston Canal pump station, same pump station, rebuild, Phase 4. If the board recalls, to protect this facility from flooding, we feel it's best to move the entire building and facility. We identified a piece of land that's owned by PSC&G. We've been pursuing and speaking with them regarding them selling us an easement so we can build a pump station on there. We met with them this week online, and they contacted us today saying the vice president of their asset management would like a follow-up meeting to further clarify their position. I'm not sure what that means, but they do have their own projects being planned, so that could possibly modify our options. As things develop, I'll report those to the board. We're not, just for clarity, we're not at a cost. We're not at a position to discuss cost or money or anything. We haven't gotten them to yet say yes. I'm going to Commissioner Ford. I'm getting background static from her. The Commerce Drive pump station rehab specifications and construction plans are in progress. The lot was surveyed on January 19th, and it is noted that the DEP freshwater wetlands permit process may delay our progress moving forward. Everything else is going nicely. Jumping down to our COVID community testing. That's us testing, sampling our sewerage in our lines and detecting COVID virus. So phase 2 of that will begin probably next week. That sampling will happen once per week instead of twice per week, but once per week for 8 weeks instead of twice per week for 4 weeks. And hopefully we could utilize this data and partner with the municipality and the county to make community health decisions, if you will. I already spoke about the Brookline land acquisition. We should be closing by the end of this month. General engineering, I will note that CME did a fantastic job getting this New Brunswick agreement to where it's at now. We're literally at the last element of this agreement to be worked out between the two engineers. And we did have a good outcome with the One Riverview Drive property where the proposed tofu plant wants to locate. And they have already posted an escrow to be by the developer. That concludes my professionals project summary.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Hearing and seeing that there are none, we will be moving forward with the executive director summary.
Thank you, Chairwoman. For the month of January, we received checks in the amount of $2,709,134.82. Year to date, we have collected $9,177,486.51. Both of those are on track as we have anticipated. We do have an open balance due of non-metered billing of $10,940,664.66. So we did generate, but we did not post penalties in the amount of $8,853.67. And a reason I'm reporting that amount, because I always report the penalties generated each month, is due to that law. We're not allowed to be making people pay penalties right now. But I just wanted the board to know what was generated. Under expenses, for this month's expenses were a total of $429,167.49 as of December 31st. And year to date of that time is $5,822,798.66. I'm going to note that we are 58% through the year, and we've spent 49% of the anticipated budget expenses. For our cash position, we have an unrestricted total of $785,958.41. Under restricted, we have $12,820,495.82. Designated $5,043,497.34. We have a total cash position of $18,649,951.57. This is all as of December 31st, 2021. Under discussions, we did hear a presentation of a preliminary audit by Hodgelick, which noted approximately $115,000 under in anticipated expenses and $1.8 million over on budget revenues. We are beginning next week the next budget cycle with operations and our admin staff. I would like the board to consider and vote up tonight to appoint a conflict and special counsel for the law offices of Paul Swaneke. A vote will be needed for that. We already discussed the land acquisition on Brookline and PSC&G, Impeller. So I did receive so last year, my first involvement, we received an easement bill from a railroad company, Consolidated Railroad Corporation, and I was able to identify where we were crossing their land. This year, I received another bill from a different railroad company called Railroad Management Company versus Consolidated Rail Corporation. And I have been unable to identify exactly our crossing of this land. So I emailed them. It's a $545 bill, but I don't want to pay it unless I know what I'm paying for. And the descriptions are not very clear. So more to report when I know more. Our rules, rates, and regulations are being reviewed and rewritten by CME. When we come to closer point of having a final draft, I'll present that in plenty of time to the board so we can review all the changes. As well, CME is going to give a full refresh of the status of our escrow and maintenance bond accounts. So our COVID-19 policy, as discussed last month, I did issue a new COVID-19 policy. After speaking with some board members and some other professionals in the field, there's some issues that involve the booster shot being included in the definition and some amendments to the general language of that policy. But I would like to discuss the COVID-19 policy in executive session tonight. The document archive, and if you all recall, we digitized many of our documents. What I did not know is those USB drives were taken off the property of the Sewage Authority, brought to the home of a staff member. That staff member is no longer employed with us, but the brother-in-law of that staff member then took those USBs to Maryland. So I got 3 out of the 4 back. The data that was missing, I was able to go directly to the vendor who had a copy of it, allowed us to download it. And now that's been put up on the server, and now we have multiple backups of that data. The connections, so this month, new connections being reported as 35, but not to go into needless details, there was a disconnect between the engineering count of new connections and the billing department. So CME, who's kind of filling in the absence of an in-house engineer, is in the process of reconciling not only that our numbers of connections, but the workflow process. Under GIS, the township has denied our request for the GIS data, and we'll deal with it next time we have a project that needs GIS data. Under staffing strength, I think all I can report is that we did lose a staff person. We did lose a staff person in the maintenance department, and we are holding that position open for the time being. Personality mentoring work, it's in project. Miss Susie has gone through the admin staff and management. She is currently working with the admin staff, and then after that is complete, she will be working with the maintenance staff. Regarding the late fees and bankruptcy accounts, not much to report that has been said, other than there is a new law that will affect the way we do business, and we need a dedicated meeting with the attorney as soon as possible. Eric has assured me we'll be able to do that in short order.
I asked him to call you, Joe, tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. Under the GIF broker, a tremendous amount of work was completed by April. It was painful work, no doubt, to rewrite, recompile, and edit the employee handbook, including the management manual. Went to the attorney review, GIF review, and I believe April, we will be presenting that to the board at the March meeting, correct?
That is correct.
And I'm very thankful for all the work you put on that. It's not the first time I'm saying that to you, but if the board saw all the paperwork she had to go through and the comparison and the edits and the deletes, I was just very impressed and appreciative of your work in that.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Councilman Embarrasson, is there anything to report on the municipal amnesty program? Did we
As usual, Joe, no, Joe, I don't have any update on it. And as you know, people do not come to us until they're ready to sell the house and they find a violation. So no other takers as far as I'm aware of.
All right. And just the final part will include the resolutions. The standard resolutions tonight will include the payroll account, operating expense account, the general fund account, the renewal and replacement account, and the North Track account. These are typical, ordinary resolutions moving money around. If any board member would like further explanation, but these are resolutions that happen every month. The additional unique resolutions, there's 3 of them on the board tonight. That's the Evoqua Water Technologies, which is a continuation of them providing us their product. It was approved last month, but we're voting on the resolution this month. We have the community virus monitoring, which was approved last month, and we're memorializing it this month. And there is a removal. Oh, I have remote. A removal of an account from 6 Franklin Boulevard with an adjustment of $330 to the accounting. And the last item, Chairwoman, on my report is a closed session. I am asking for an executive session at the end of this meeting to discuss attorney-client privilege on the topics involving COVID policy and practice for the authority. And the second one is to discuss the QPA stipend. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Joe,
you.
if I may, Joe, I just have one correction for you.
Okay.
With the Evoqua Water Technologies, last month we took a vote and authorized the approval for them to extend the previous contract for 1 month. And tonight we'll be voting on a new contract because it went out to bid, and attorney review has authorized us to move forward. So tonight the resolution will be for a brand new contract with Evoqua.
Thank you, April.
Very welcome.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
The Chairwoman, I just want to give our operations manager, Scott Nacero, an opportunity to run through his report. I don't know if he wants to read the entire report, but if I may ask him to please go through his report if he's ready.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just go through some of the items here on the list that you should have in front of you. Under our pump stations, Meadow Avenue Pump Station, our guys in-house fabricated new hardware for the mounting of the pump to the actual volutes. They were just excessive wear from removing them over the years. Somerset Street Pump Station, as we know, during rain events is a troublesome pump station. 2 occasions during the month of January, we went on bypass. So, the guys worked hard with that. Again, anything usually over an inch of rain, the station needs to go on the bypass pumps to be able to keep up with the flow so we don't have an overflow. Weston Canal, we had a VFD, a variable frequency drive fault. It was a faulty firing card within the drive. We had a spare in stock, was installed, and the drive was back up the same day. Joe talked about Weston Canal Force Main Phase 3. The flow meter was delivered today. Weston Canal Pump Station relative to Tropical Storm Ida. As I've been reporting the past few months, we've been waiting for Public Service Electric to receive the new CTs that get mounted outside the pump station relative to the metering of the electric coming into the station. They finally were received by PSE&G. I picked them up last Thursday, and now we're trying to schedule a shutdown with PSE&G for the week of, actually Monday the 7th, so possibly next week if everything goes well. But every time there's a storm with PSE&G, everything gets pushed back and delayed because they go in what they call storm mode. When a storm is coming, whether it's rain, snow, or whatever, they go into storm mode, and that's high priority versus everything else. But we're pushing along. Under our gravity sewer flushing program, during the month, our crew flushed and cleaned 34,443 feet of gravity sewer. We are currently at 30% of our overall goal from March of 2021. Joe talked about Marcy Street, I believe. East Millstone the project did start on the 24th. The contractor's been there every day, including yesterday after the snow. He's working diligently and moving along, pushing forward. I believe they're talking anywhere from a 5 to 6, maybe 7 month span of full construction. The roof project replacement, obviously that project is weather dependent, but most of the material was delivered to our site during the month of January. So we have material stocked all over the place and just waiting for that project to start. Under safety, no accidents or injuries for the month of January. The annual fire extinguisher inspections were performed. Annual OSHA inspections were also performed on all the overhead hoists at the pump stations. and the annual OSHA inspection was performed on the below-ground truck lift in our maintenance garage. There were 35 connections for the month. Total to date is 123, and anticipated for the fiscal year of 21-22 is 187. If there's any questions, I will answer them.
Does anyone have any questions?
Chairwoman, we will have to circle back to approve the minutes and the executive closed session minutes.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing that there are no questions, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Joe.
Chairwoman,
yeah.
discussion and a vote on the appointment of the special/conflict attorney.
Yes, that would be voting on it now, you mean, or waiting until our resolutions?
No, you vote on it now.
Okay. If you could give a brief description of that, and then I will ask for a motion.
That would be to appoint the office of Paul Swaneke to work as a conflict or special counsel. And this Paul Swaneke did what used to be the primary counsel of the Sewage Authority for many years. This would give me options in between meetings.
Do I have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Paul Swaneke as special counsel.
And conflict.
Seconded.
And conflict/special.
Who was the second?
And Barry.
Ram.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar? Mr. Alcazar?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Ann-Barrenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford? Ms. Ford? I think she's frozen.
She's on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, and her screen looks frozen too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come back to her. Ms. Francois?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Chairwoman DeVoe?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Okay.
Moving back to approval of minutes for working session and monthly board meeting of January 4th, 2022. Do I have a motion to move?
I'll make a motion. Schmidt.
Commissioner Schmidt, do I have a second?
Second, Ford.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar?
Yeah.
Mr. Ann-Barrenson?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Francois?
I think I have to abstain because we were only here for a portion of that meeting. That was
Okay.
the day that the council reorg. I abstain.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe?
Yes. Commissioner Barrington, you?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing applies to me as well.
Okay.
So if I should abstain, I would do that.
Okay. Noted for Commissioner Francois and Commissioner Ann-Barrenson.
Yeah, I think we were only there for like 20 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Moving on to the executive or minutes for the executive closed session for January 4th of 2022. Do I have a motion to move those minutes?
Motion.
And a second?
Second, Ford.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar,
Yeah.
Mr. Ann Berenson was
Yes.
absent. I believe he was absent, right, for the executive session during that meeting?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois, I believe, was also absent for the executive closed session last month. Mr.
Abstain.
Correct, okay. Mr. Schmidt
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes.
Okay.
Moving forward to committee reports, is there anything to report for negotiations and personnel? Seeing that there is none, moving on to municipal liaison, is there anything to report?
I guess that would be me now.
For municipal liaison, yes, but since you were just appointed that, we can, we'll circle back at next meeting.
Next month. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Construction committee, is there anything to report?
Nothing to report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. And the safety committee, is there anything to report? There are no accidents of the month. Thank you to Scott and his team, as always. Moving forward to the approval of the consent agenda, all items listed below are considered of a routine nature, thereby requiring one motion and 1 second for all items. If any member wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda, please advise me at this time which resolutions need to be handled or resolution need to be handled separately, and they will be addressed and voted on separately. Resolution number 1 is the payroll account of $167,030.49. Resolution number 2, operating expense account of $458,636.00. Resolution number 3, general fund expense account of $61,269.55. Renewal and replacement, $177,910.72. The North Track Crossing, resolution number 5 is $330,056.11. And with that, do I have a motion to move the consent agenda?
Motion, Jesus.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Brown.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Next, we're moving on to additional resolutions. Resolution number 6 is the resolution that authorizes the award of a contract with I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Can you pronounce it? The
Evoqua.
Thank you. Evoqua Water Technologies for the purchase and delivery of odor control chemicals on behalf of the Franklin Township Sewerage Authority. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Wow.
And a second?
Second, Ford.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar,
Yes.
Mr. Van Barenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution number 7, which authorizes the continuation of the community virus monitoring program. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion Ford.
Motion by Schmidt, seconded by Ford. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar,
Yes.
Mr. Van Barenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Moving to resolution number 8, which is the resolution to remove account number 03481 located at 6 Franklin Boulevard, Block 261, Lot 2, from billing with an adjustment of $333 in principal. Do I have a motion?
Motion, Ram.
The second?
Who was the
Second.
second?
Second Ford.
Sorry, was there a question? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alcazar,
Yes.
Mr. Van Barenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Moving to executive session. Do I have a motion to open executive session pending items?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. I have 7:26 to go into executive session, and I will stop recording now.
We're going to,
Go ahead.
Do we need a roll call or?
well, we need a roll call before that. We're going to executive session for personnel items, attorney-client privilege, and personnel items involving the QPA. Has the QPA been raised?
I will waive my rights.
Thank you, Ms. Roach.
You're very welcome.
With that, a roll call.
Mr. Alcazar,
Yes.
Mr. Van Barenson,
Yes.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Francois,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe. 7:27.